Dirty Girl, Ditch the Toxins. Dirty Girl, Ditch the Toxins with Wendie Trubow, best-selling author, medical doctor, and functional medicine practitioner. Be with us till the end. We're going to have great conversation together.
Great.
Welcome to my show, Wendy.
Thank you. Great to be here, Pantia.
So actually, I look at your book on Amazon and I love it, love it. I love the cover, and I went to outline and everything looks very exciting. I just want to go into it and I can't wait to see what is inside. I know you are a medical doctor and you are also doing functional medicine. Did you have a background in health, or what happened you chose this path?
The path of functional medicine or the toxins path? Which one?
So which one did you start first?
I started the medical path first. I went to med school when I was 26, graduated when I was 30, went into OBGYN, which was very traditional. And then I married someone who was never did anything but functional medicine. Basically, when he got out of residency, he went right into functional medicine, and that was my exposure. And so about 5 years after starting my attending job as an OBGYN, I transitioned into functional medicine, and that was back in 2009. And then from that point, really expanded in all directions around women's health and toxins and gut health and adrenal health. And then we wrote the book. My history in a nutshell.
So you've been in fertility stuff and you had fertility patients, and then are you still helping them to get pregnant, or you do something else?
Yeah. So we work with women in all reproductive phases, and particularly when they want to get pregnant, the stakes get high. And so it really depends where a woman is in her fertility pathway. So if a woman says to me, I'm starting IVF tomorrow, then I say, great. Awesome. Congratulations. Let's get you on a vitamin D. Let's get you on some fish oil and make sure that you're on activated B vitamins. It's really not at all focused on detox. It's focusing on you're getting pregnant. So let's get you the best thing possible. Then there's another scenario where a woman might say, I'm contemplating pregnancy in the next 1 to 3 years. And to me, that's really the optimal time to play because
Exactly.
we have an opportunity, we have some runway to make a difference. And so those are ideal times. And so those are perfect times to say, okay, let's get your adrenals, your gut, and your toxins optimized, because that will impact the quality of your pregnancy, ability to conceive, and then postpartum experience.
I'm a fertility coach as well, so I'm doing functional medicine.
Yeah.
And it's the interesting point. What you said is exactly right, because even for myself, I had fertility issues for 2 years, and then I thought, now, oh, I have to do something different, like ditch the toxins out.
Right.
And then what else? Like, I tried to have some organic foods. Those days I didn't know about the functional medicine. I went to acupuncture, and of course transitioning my mindset to something more positive. But what is your method exactly? What I know, you also have other patients rather than fertility.
Yeah.
Uh, when do you suggest to remove the toxins? What kind of symptoms do you see? Is that the first thing that you tell them, or you see something that is off?
No, I would say for fertility patients, and I want to say, Pentia, that I don't see it that people are infertile. I really feel that language is so not inspiring and disempowering even. So I never want to language it that a woman is infertile, because you're fertile. If you have a uterus, and ovaries, you're fertile. So what I'm always looking at is you might have some challenges and you're having struggles and you're intrinsically fertile and want to see yourself like that. That's one, because the mystery and the sort of thing we look at is it's not whether you're going to be a parent, it's when. You're going to be a parent. We just don't know the when. That's the sort of mystical part of it. So the first part is making sure that women are well cared for. Are you getting enough sleep? Acupuncture is fantastic. Is your gut optimized? So I would say toxins is not the first thing I'm looking at. It's really, are you eating high quality food? And within that, organic wherever possible and not processed wherever possible. So you can eat organic bread and organic cake and organic donuts, but that's still really inflammatory. So my vote is things like paleo or whole 30 type eating, basically without processed foods, would be where I would land for a woman who's trying to get pregnant. So low gluten, low dairy, low sugar. That would be first. Excuse me. And then second is optimizing the adrenals. So are they fatigued? Are they overactive? Making sure those are great. And then probably third would be toxins. Now, I reserve the right as a female and as a physician to change my mind at any time. So maybe someone comes in my office and I go, you are a toxic picture. I would do toxins first on them.
Yeah. So there are three steps you said. In the beginning, you just try to see the gut and the overall health, right? What
Mm-hmm.
was the second? The second, adrenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the third one is a toxin, right?
Yeah.
And you may reverse it somehow
Yeah.
and change the order.
And I would imagine women who are struggling with fertility, excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat, that women who are having challenges around fertility might say to me, why aren't you addressing my hormones? And my response is, your hormones track with your adrenals and your gut, so let's optimize those.
Yeah. So I see with with my audience, I have a lot of I didn't know that you're doing the fertility. I had to be more careful because I have a lot of audience, my clients also, that they are doing they are in fertility path, and they are doing a lot of nutrition stuff
Yeah.
and hormone balances. I love to go deeper in this path.
Yeah.
First of all, for the first step, as you see, do you go to the functional medicine labs and then you recommend what they do, or uh, I try to see exactly what you do from the beginning
Yeah,
and
well,
go
I
to
would say
yeah.
I'm a data hog. I love data. I love information. And not everyone has access to all the labs. And so it's always a blend, I would say. So if someone says to me, I have access to all the labs, finances are no issue, then I go, great, I love that. Let's do everything. But then there's the other spectrum where someone says, this is really challenging for me. And I'm trying to conserve my finances because I might be out of pocket for the IVF. In which case I go, okay, there's a lot of ways that we can impact your health that are pretty standard, that don't require specialty labs, that are very sort of straightforward life changes. So anyone can eliminate processed carbs and you don't need a test to do that. I don't need to check your C-reactive protein to say you have inflammation. I know
Exactly.
we can
Usually,
easily.
everybody somehow has inflammation,
Yeah.
especially if they consume dairy products, which in my case, I had inflammation, I had asthma, I had a lot of blockers, and I didn't know I was a really healthy eater. I thought that I was, that I thought that I was, because I never consume sugar. Like, but I used to consume honey, and then I also had fruits. But even for inflammation, if you go through it, there are some kind of fruits which is not good for you, you know. Let's say in my case, when I went to acupuncture, he said, you have to reduce tomato. And we had tomato in all of Persian foods, usually. And
Potatoes, right?
yeah, No, no, tomato. Tomato.
Tomatoes or potatoes, one of the two. They're both nightshades, though.
Yeah, yeah, there are both of them, and they are not really. I mean, you have to balance them. I'm not saying that you can't use them in your food, but you need to balance it.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing how many different things can be inflammatory. And that's what's so cool about functional medicine because it's not like one size fits all. It's one size fits you. And let's sleuth out what that thing is that's going to make the difference. Everyone eats with good intentions, but sometimes the outcomes aren't as good. And so I always see it as how do we get you where you are? Let's level up to your next place and then let's level up again until you look back, you go, whoa, look how far I've come. But it's step by step.
Exactly. And then, okay, you say adrenal. Are you referring to just stress or what else? I know, but because
Yeah.
everything is kind of related to adrenal.
Yeah. So let's back up a step
Yeah,
and I'm going to assume that your audience is all over the map. And some of them might be saying, well, what difference does it make if my adrenals are healthy? So your adrenals are those glands that sit over the kidneys and they provide your get up and go, your cortisol, your adrenaline. And so, and when you're transitioning into menopause, they also take over the role of your female hormones. So your testosterone, estradiol, progesterone. So it's super important when you're in menopause. However, there's basically two major pathways that the adrenals take. One is fight, flight, or freeze. And because you live on this earth, it's kind of hard not to activate that. We're super primitive. So anything stressful that happens is going to kick your adrenals into gear. And so it could simply be you ran the red light inadvertently, or your boss was kind of a jerk, or your husband wasn't as nice to you, or your wife wasn't as nice to you, or whatever that is, your body still interprets it as a stressful experience. And then you push out cortisol. Cortisol comes from ultimately, it starts as cholesterol, which comes from your liver, and then it converts in all these pathways. So you're going to maintain that fight, flight, or freeze pathway no matter what. That's your life or death pathway. And then your secondary pathway is your hormone management. That's the DHEA, testosterone, estradiol. And that's what's really important in menopause, why it's important to have good hormonal health, good adrenal health, because that's giving you what you need. So when you talk about adrenals, you can look at times in the world where people had severe stress as a group and fertility rates go down because the body will prioritize life over procreation. Getting pregnant is not a short term, how do I say this? Evolutionarily, you don't need to have a baby to survive the next year. The species needs to have babies, but you might not if you're in the midst of a super stressful event. And so the adrenals are really important because if they're interpreting the environment as unsafe, the adrenals give signals to the ovaries to menstruate properly. So you can shut down your menstruation, which means you don't make an egg, which means you can't get pregnant because there's nothing to fertilize. So it tracks back, and it's very important to care for them. They're tiny, they're like a little walnut, and they're so powerful. So things like eliminating sugar, alcohol, processed carbs, getting enough sleep, not actively worrying about things, those are all really powerful tools to help the adrenals.
I love that. So let's have a few second break and come back here again. Please subscribe to Pantal Calhor Transition channel to get the latest interviews and order my book PTSD Compass through Amazon. How to confront PTSD and navigate trauma to triumph. The reason I put this one there because you talk about stress, right? And in so many women there, and not only women, couples are struggling with post-trauma stress, and all of us have trauma, all of us in our life, but the shock we get from trauma sometimes is very difficult to deal with. That's why we can't get pregnant because of this stress stored in our cellular level, right? So as you said for the adrenaline, and that the second step, I know there are a lot of mental problem and emotional problem that we have also. Do you also go to this level of data, getting this data, gathering from your
Yeah.
clients to see how much stress they have? Because usually medical doctors don't go through it. They maybe generally,
Yeah.
how much stress you have, but they never go deeply to see if they can deal with this, or if they have other problems that you know
Yeah, I would say as a functional medicine provider, stress to me is one of the foundational cores of health. And so we're really looking at that. That's, I mean, it's a standard question we ask, how would you describe your stress, low, medium, or high? But really in the intake, what we're looking at is what's going on. And it's so interesting because I only see women as a gynecologist, and I love women, and they're always saying to me like, "Why are we talking about why my husband is irritating me?" I'm like, "Because it's a source of stress, and it's messing you up, and it's messing up your digestion, it's messing up your periods. So we need to uncover the things in your life that aren't working so that we can optimize you." And that makes a lot of sense for women when you start to think about it. But absolutely, stress is massive, and we're looking at it all the time.
All right, now go back to your book. I
Yeah.
I love it. I can sit there. Dirty Girl, Ditch the Toxins. So, what is there, and how? I know it's in Amazon, but I can see your website there. So, can they access it through the website, or how
Yeah,
does it
sure.
work? And just give me the summary of your book as well.
I'm always interested in big picture first. So, big picture, it's Dirty Girl, Ditch the Toxins, look great, and feel freaking amazing. And it's all about how do you even figure out what toxins are messing with you, and how do you level up on your life so that you're not exposed to formaldehyde in your clothes, or flame retardants in your bed, or products in your makeup that are messing with your endocrine system, which then can lead to fertility struggles. So you can purchase it on Amazon in either the Kindle form or paperback or hardcover. It's also on our website at fivejourneys.com. So either way, people can access it.
Great. So, you said you work with your husband, right?
Mhm.
Uh, Tell me about this, how this corporation work. Cooperate. Yeah, how do you cooperate with each other, and how does it look like when you have your husband beside you to do this functional medicine beside what you're doing as a medical doctor as well? I know you also have four beautiful kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say, first off, this is the company we're in, Five Journeys now, is our second iteration. And our first iteration didn't work that well because we were really learning how we worked best together and we hadn't figured it out. So the second iteration, Five Journeys, has gone much, much better. So the nice thing we figured out is he's very big picture and I'm very granular. And so that makes a nice combination because he's often the idea guy, and then I'm like, how do we put that into practice and what do we need to do about that? So we have, in a from a broader perspective, our commitment and goals are that people can be vital, healthy, vibrant, alive, interested in and able to perform intimately until they're at least 100, and that every decade looks better than the one before, and that we and inspire and empower people to live healthy lives. That's our goal. So functional medicine is how we accomplish that, and our practice, how we work together, is everything is predicated on the question, is it sustainable, reproducible, scalable, and is it financially viable? So when we make choices, I would say we had more discord in our first company because it just wasn't well designed. And when we got clear about what we were committed to and how we were going to get there, things got a lot easier because we're on the same page. So there's not a lot of bickering, basically. But then people say, how do you work with your husband? And I say, well, I don't really work with my husband. He's in the office next door, and I'm the most ways. So Tuesdays and Fridays we do meetings, and then Monday, Wednesday, Thursday I see patients. He sees patients. So we're not really together. We're together 2 days a week having meetings, creating, which is fun, you know. And then we have help at home to help us manage the four kids.
So I see you say financially uh, viable.
Yeah.
The problem with the fertility is that people are really, they don't get fertile. I mean, they don't get pregnant. It takes some time. And we
Yeah.
need that time to get prepared for fertility. And in this journey, sometimes you say, oh, you are in a rush to go to IVF, and IVF is more expensive than other like functional medicine labs. So to me, if I were like few years ago, I was going to get pregnant, I
Yeah.
definitely do those labs, because
Yeah.
at least you have the data, exact data from your body. You know exactly what is wrong. Maybe there are some healing opportunities there, and maybe you can actually correct it, right?
Yeah.
But if you just uh, go for, without doing a lab, doing labs, still, because you have experience, you can tell them you can still do this. So there are hopes, even if you cannot do the functional medicine.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes. But what measurement exactly do you look at, especially about the hormones, I'm saying?
Yes, this is a huge conversation. So the I'm looking I really want to understand a woman's body and how it's working. So I'm looking at the minerals and nutrients that would include D, magnesium, zinc. I'm looking at their hormones. Although the menstrual cycle can tell me a lot about their hormones. So if they know, okay, I ovulate on day 14, but then I have a period on day 22 or 21, then I go, oh, well, maybe your progesterone isn't as robust. Maybe we need to support that. But we do get the labs to look at that. And then the gut is critical. The function of it, is there inflammation? Are there food sensitivities? How are the adrenals? Are they overly stressed, or are they functioning well? And then back to the foundational things. Are they moving their body regularly? When you sweat, you detox. Are you sleeping enough? Is your relationship intact? Because fertility can be extremely stressful on relationships. So how do we make sure that the relationship stays intact? Because that the couple as the core are good, right? And so looking at all of those things and then put it together, toxins could be included in that in the third stage, but put it all together to say, how do we optimize you? And make sure every granular piece is well served, essentially. Thyroid is huge actually in fertility. So we have a much stricter view of where the thyroid should be for a woman who's trying to get pregnant than maybe the general population might be. So looking at that is huge.
Exactly. I know thyroid is a really big discussion, and maybe we can have it later because
Yes.
different hormones are have like big spectrum to go through and have a discussion about.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy talking to you, and especially when you uh, talk about the toxins, not only can balance your hormones with the fertility, but your whole health, right?
Yep.
So health is not just doing the right thing about the food. We are somehow related, it is somehow related to our lifestyle as well, and how we can balance our sleep, as you said, and how we can balance our stress level. As we
Yeah.
sometimes we have a stress, we can't actually avoid it, but there are a lot of ways that we can do it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any recommendation, like very hopeful sentence for women who are struggling with fertility issues?
I mean, tons. I think one, my recommendation is trust that the universe is going to provide what you need and that you will be a parent. That's the most important thing to remember is the mystery is when, but you're going to be a parent in some way. That's one. And then I highly recommend women work with functional wellness or functional medicine providers because it's all about getting to the root cause of what's going on and fixing it. And then leading a low toxic lifestyle. So minimizing or avoiding sugar, minimizing alcohol, and then if it's appropriate, looking at the toxins because they really are everywhere and they have very profound impacts on our health and our ability to have regular cycles, conceive properly, have good pregnancies, even milk production. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Thank you so much for your hopeful message. I wish you a lot of luck
Thank
for
you.
your practicing, and thank you for being here.
My pleasure. We actually wanted to offer your guests
Yes,
a
yes, go ahead. Yeah,
so
of
anyone
course.
who's listening, we've spent a lot of hours putting together the optimal ways to avoid toxins in your life, and that includes your food and your furniture and your home products and your cleaning products. And we put it in a guide that we'd love to offer your listeners. It's normally sells for $40, but we're offering it as a free gift to your guests if they went to fivejourneys.com/promo. They can sign up and instantaneously, well, maybe not instantaneously, but pretty quickly get that guide so you can start cleaning up and cleaning out the toxins.
Thank you so much. I will put the link there. If you want to get the free gift, please go there and check the link. Thank you so much.
Yes. My pleasure. Thank you.